Hi, I'm Mick from Superior Engineering. Today I'd like to show you limiting straps and why you should run limiting straps. These are a couple of limiting straps from Trail Gear. These are the most common brand that we use here on our race trucks and some of the vehicles that we set up. As you can see, they come in, there's a lot of different lengths they come in. These are just a couple we've got here. High tensile steel on the top, heat treated, 4130. Fairly thick, you can get them in all different thicknesses. We like these because they are so thick. The other part you need when you're going to set up a limiting strap is your clevis. This is very important. If you don't have a clevis, you could just use a bolt to bolt. There's nothing really wrong with that, but these are the better way to do it. One thing to be very important is when you do bolt these onto your car, you don't bolt them up solid so there's no movement. If you can imagine, when a diff's dropping straight down, they're going to pull fairly straight. When a diff's articulating, they're going to pull crooked. If you've got these straps really tight, there's not going to be very much movement here and you run the risk of snapping your brackets or your bolts. So these clevis brackets or mounts, they come in two different ways. You can actually set it up like that, so you can run a single strap, so that would go in between like that, or you can set it up, more preferred way is running two straps. The reason you run two straps is pretty obvious. If you snap one strap, you've still got another strap holding the diff up. If it's not a diff, well, your IFS. So that's the same bracket but running two. So what we'll do, we'll go over and have a look at the shock, and I'll try and explain to you why or what gets damaged in a shock absorber when you don't run a limiting strap. So we've come over to the shock bench here and I'll show you what actually gets damaged in a shock from not running limiting straps. So this is a bypass we started pulling apart. So we'll just lift that out. So basically what you have in most shock absorbers, you've got a circlip that goes in, and this locks into a groove in here, and basically that sits over top and comes down onto that, and that's all that stops the shock pulling apart. Okay, so if you can imagine you don't have a limiting strap, the whole force of that shock is slamming against that clip all the time. And eventually what it does, it damages, whether it's an alloy or steel assembly here, it'll eventually damage that and it'll damage your shock. If it's a serviceable shock, like say a bypass or a remote res, a Marder, King, whatever brand it is, it then makes it very hard to pull that shock apart as both the body gets damaged and the assembly gets damaged. The other thing that can get damaged, this shock here has actually got a rate plate on here. So as you can imagine, some shocks don't have rate plates, which is this plate. They're just straight down the shims there to the shaft. As you can imagine, the spacer or just the assembly there can just start bashing against the actual shock as it's slamming up and down constantly. So yeah, there's certainly a lot of damage you can do. You can damage your piston, you can damage your shims, you can damage your neck push assembly. So it's very important to run straps where possible. So this is an assembly off a 2.0 shock. As you can see, it's a lot smaller than a 2.5. And the clip is substantially smaller than a 2.5. So as you can see, if you're running a 2.0, it's very easy to damage that assembly. We'll go over and have a look at one of the race cars now on one of the setups that we have here, just to give you a bit of an idea about how to set them up properly. So as you can see, we're over here at the Superior Engineering Ultra 4 race vehicle, just to show you guys how the limiting straps are fit on this particular vehicle. At the moment, because we're doing a little bit of testing on this, we've just got a single strap. Normally when it's in race conditions, it runs two straps. So you'll normally have two straps through there, and down the bottom it mounts two. Now, as we were saying, you don't want anything tight on it because things can jam up nice and loose. Now you've got to remember, when you set up your limiting straps, you're trying to save your shock absorbers. Other things you've got to look at is uni-bind on it, as well as any other thing, like you may have a torsion bar on there, like a sway bar, torsion bar setup, and maybe you don't want to overflex that so you damage it. So you've got to sort of think a little bit about your vehicle, what's connected to your vehicle, and what you're trying not to damage. This particular vehicle, we don't want to overflex it too much. So we can get 28-inch travel out of the rear of this if we want, but we know we can't get a universal joint to go anywhere near that for the horsepower and the speed that we're trying to get out of it. So we limit it back a fair amount. What we'll do, we'll just go up with the hoist here, and you'll see how much we've actually limited this particular vehicle by for what we're doing at the moment. Yep, that's it. So as you can see, the limiting straps there are pulled up tight. We're not using the full amount of the bypass in this particular setup. Different races and that sort of stuff, we may change the limiting strap and that sort of stuff, but for flat track that we're currently doing right at the moment, that's where we've got it set at. So check your vehicle properly when you're going to set up limiting straps. Take your time, do it properly, and you'll probably save yourself a set of shocks by putting limiting straps on. For more information, jump on our website, superiorengineering.com.au, and if you need to purchase any of these or the Clevis joints, Clevis parts, we've got them on the website too. Thanks for watching.